In 1986, Young was back in LA recording a new album. As part of the agreement with Geffen that brought their lawsuit to an end, Young had agreed to record a regular straight-ahead rock album with producer Danny Kortchmar behind the desk. Kortchmar was coming off producing albums for Don Henley and Jackson Browne, so to Geffen that seemed like a safe choice. Kortchmar said that Don Henley was so meticulous with recording, he would go over every single word of his vocals, punching in at certain syllables until the perfect vocal line was crafted. Then along comes Neil Young. "I never made a record like this before," Kortchmar told Young, who flatly refused to do any sort of punching in or redubbing vocals. "I can't do that," he said. "I can't punch it in." And instead of using Crazy Horse as his backing band and recording live in the studio like his previous best work, the sessions featured just Steve Jordan on drums, Danny Kortchmar on synth bass, and Neil Young. Once recording got underway, Young quickly fell back into his obsession of trying to recreate that giant 80s drum sound that was so popular at the time. Onlookers said the floor of the studio was littered with shards of shattered drumsticks as Young pushed the powerhouse drummer Steve Jordan to ever more heavy-hitting takes. Young made a new friend in the studio during these sessions. Nico Bolas was an engineer who hit it off with Young straight away, and he would end up being involved in the recording of Young's next 4 albums. Bolas said that the album was recorded like a giant live overdub, with the band playing over an acoustic demo of each song. Young pieced together different versions to cover any mistakes, an advantage of recording digitally. Although by now Geffen Records' lawsuit against Young had been dropped, they were still interfering in the creative process. They told Young he was way over budget and shut the sessions down. Young continued on though, paying for the rest of the sessions himself. Weight of the World, the first track, lets us know straight away what we're in for. Drums, and more drums are the order of the day. The guitar is chopped up, digitized, and synths are prevalent throughout. Young's big mainstream rock album turns out to be somehow even more synthetic sounding than trance. Violent Side follows, and it's a shadow of its former self. The previous incarnation, live with Crazy Horse in 1984, was far superior. Give me the hollering of Crazy Horse rather than the kids' choir here any day of the week. Also here, Young's guitar sounds painfully thin. What were they doing to guitars in the 80s? I don't know, they seem to EQ all the bottom end out of them and just put a chorus effect on them. Like every mid-80s album had this, which is sometimes cool, but not with Neil Young's guitar. Young's passionate singing on the earlier live version at the Catalyst is fantastic, but this version simply falls flat despite Young's attempts to recapture that earlier energy and spirit. And yeah, for me, the choir just ruins it. Hippie Dream is next, and if it has any, this is one of the album's saving graces. A brilliant song, inspired by the rise and fall of his friend and one-time bandmate David Crosby. A great opening line, "Take my advice, don't listen to me," echoing the lyrics of Tired Eyes from Tonight's the Night, "Please take my advice." The allusion to the earlier song about burnt out junkies and coke dealers is deliberate, I feel, as Crosby had by this point gone completely off the rails. In 1985, Crosby had been busted for cocaine and heroin possession, drunk driving, a hit-and-run accident, and possession of a concealed weapon, a .45 caliber pistol. He did 9 months in a Texas state prison. The wooden ships were just a hippie dream, capsized in excess, Young sang, leaving no doubt who the song was about. Although a great song, again the production does nothing to help get the song across, really. The tinny guitar, synthetic bass. The best version I've heard of this, in my opinion, is on the album Earth, released in 2016, recorded live with the promise of the real. It has an energy to it, at least, that is somewhat lacking here on this album. Bad News Beat is a classic example of where he was going wrong, in my opinion, at this time. It's like he's overthinking everything. The drums, the synths, everything's chopped up and rearranged, and it doesn't work if you ask me. Touch the Night sees the return of, my favourite, the choir. Is it sampled or what? I don't know, but there it is. The guitars have a bit more body to them in this one, so it's got that going for it. And it's not a bad song. It's just, again, there's something about this style of production in the 80s that just doesn't serve Young's songs well. People on the Street sees Young apparently channeling is in a toto, only without their smoothness. And that synthetic horn sound, yeah, I'm pretty sure that has no business being on a Neil Young record. The song is not without its charms, but sonically it's just not a good fit, unconvincing. Like a well-made, expensive suit that is just the wrong size and just feels wrong. Hard Luck Stories goes full 80s pop and almost makes it. It still falls short somehow, but at least there's no choir this time. I Got a Problem benefits from a simple arrangement, but again the guitars for me are just too thin. The drums are great, of course. Steve Jordan was and is a brilliant drummer, and the James Brown quote in the chorus, referencing Cold Sweat, is a fun touch. I'll give him that. Pressure has a choppy new wave style sound and is one of the better songs here, probably because it was the last song that was recorded and they had less time to overthink it. It has an energy and a punch to it that you really feel the lack of elsewhere on this album. And I actually like the sampled screams that Young plays on the synclavier here. I also enjoy the way the song kind of breaks down into chaos near the end. More of that would have been good, actually. Drifter, the last song on the album, is not too bad either. It's a kind of sequel to The Loner, with strangled, clipped guitar phrases. In fact, the guitar is more unhinged here than anywhere else on the album. He really lets loose towards the end, and it's all the better for it. Although it still sounds like his guitar's been recorded in the next room along, whilst we're in the room with the drums just right up in your face. So sonically the album does have a claustrophobic feel, which is not surprising given that it was recorded in a small room, usually reserved for recording commercial jingles. Steve Jordan, talking about the sessions, admitted that as soon as he started playing, his drums would overpower everything. Throughout the album, Young's guitar and vocals seem quite distant, whilst the drums are so dry and prominent, they almost sound synthetic, even though they weren't. The album Landing on Water was released in July 1986, and as Jimmy McDonough in the book Shaky quipped, it sank without a trace. This being the MTV era, of course, there were some fun promo videos to go along with the album, directed by Tim Pope, the brilliantly creative British director who had previously worked with Young on the videos for Cry, Cry, Cry and Wonderin' in 1983. The best thing about these videos for Landing on Water is that they are completely demented, very funny, and breathe a bit more life into the songs and contain some quite frankly incredible acting from Young. The video for Touch the Night saw Young playing a TV news reporter live at the scene of a car accident on the freeway, and the whole thing is filmed in one shot with no cuts. It's actually very good. At the time of filming this, it's not on YouTube, but like Young's other music videos, they are available to watch on his website, neilyoungarchives.com. The video for Pressure is equally entertaining, with Young getting fully into a nerdy character, repeatedly punching himself in the face, getting tied to a tree by his kids, strapped with dynamite, and then blown up by his wife. The video for People on the Street sees Young tap dancing down Lombard Street in San Francisco, treading in dog shit and then tap dancing some more. The Weight of the World video depicts a drunken pool party in the sun that's almost like a deleted scene from Caddyshack, with Young sporting a Jheri Curl, mirror shades and a Hawaiian shirt, drinking and jumping into the pool with bikini-clad women, before drowning at the end of the video. Landing on Water was meant to be Young's concession to Geffen, to give him back a regular rock album after 3 ludicrously diverse albums in a row: Trans, Everybody's Rockin', and Old Ways. Instead, they got an album that was, in a way, the weirdest one of all of them. It's more synthetic sounding than Trans, and is actually way more experimental than the other two. After all, Everybody's Rockin' was deliberately retro. Old Ways was just straight up mainstream country, or an attempt at it anyway. And sonically, there's no getting away from the fact that Landing on Water was the worst sounding album of Young's career to date, and since. Probably. And why was that? Well, it is pretty simple, I think. Too much overdubbing, too much overthinking. He'd seemingly forgotten the David Briggs dictum of the more you think, the more you stink, that had guided him so successfully through the late 60s and 70s. By this time in the mid-80s, thinking was all he was doing, it seemed. Now, usually I can find the positives in any Neil Young album, even the ones that have received the most criticism. There's more often than not something about them that makes them interesting, or some songs that stand out above the rest. And this one does have some good moments, but yeah, no, it is shite. In fact, this is probably the worst album that Neil Young ever made. Don't get me wrong, I like some of the songs, but the production and the sound is so jaw-droppingly awful. It makes you want to jump in the sea. There's a jarring disconnect between the way Young is singing and playing with the backing tracks that is just completely insurmountable for me. Even the patchwork trance sounds much more cohesive than this. This album makes Everybody's Rockin' sound like Tonight's the Night. The landing on water of the title may be referring to a plane that's crash landing, but I feel it's more accurately describing this sonic turd of an album dropping into the toilet bowl. Young may have learned a very important lesson here. In giving Geffen exactly what they had asked for, he had made the worst music of his career. And if you think I'm being too harsh on the album, then listen to what Neil Young had to say about the album after it was released. It's a piece of crap. He said, "If I was going to give one of my records to somebody, I don't think this would be the one." Landing on Water was a turning point in Young's career. His previous attempts at sabotaging his own career had been so successful, he really had levelled it, reset it. So now, there was only one place left to go, back into that rusted out garage where an old horse was waiting for him. For the remainder of 1986, Neil Young and Crazy Horse went back out on the road with an over-the-top stage show that echoed the theatricality of the earlier Rust Never Sleeps tour, only this time with some interesting additions to the stage set. So we'll get into all that in the next video, where we'll also be looking at Young's final album for Geffen Records. So stay tuned, get subscribed, give us a like, and watch out for the next video in this series. Until then, thanks for watching. Bye for now. Just a big dream, capsized in excess, if you know what I mean. Because it's over for you, don't mean it's over for me. It's a victory for the heart every time the music starts. So please don't kill the machine, don't kill the machine, don't kill the machine.